I call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward. You've heard me say before in different contexts, the words of a president matter, no matter how good or bad that president is. At their best, the words of a president can inspire. At their worst, they can incite. And therefore, I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege, to storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection. The world's watching. Like so many other Americans, I am genuinely shocked and saddened that our nation, so long the beacon of light and hope for democracy, has come to such a dark moment. Through war and strife, America's endured much, and we will endure here, and we will prevail again, and will prevail now. The work of the moment and the work of the next 4 years must be the restoration of democracy, of decency, honor, respect, the rule of law, just plain, simple decency. The renewal of the politics. It's about solving problems, looking out for one another, not stoking the flames of hate and chaos.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
And how did we end up with Trump? How did we end up with someone so extreme? Well, it was an intentional policy. It was a scheme by the DNC and the Hillary campaign to elevate the most extreme candidates in the Republican primary so that Hillary would have an easy candidate to beat in the general election. And if you look at mainstream media, you see that they've covered for Hillary. They haven't reported on Hillary's scheme to elevate Trump. You can see that the mainstream media hasn't been willing to report this. Look at these four. These four are the only ones I can find that have mentioned it. Apart from Fox News, Democracy Now!, and RT, mainstream media has not reported this. Your headline deceptively conceals the agenda the Democratic National Committee, the Hillary Clinton campaign, and the media had to elevate Trump during the primaries. Look how manipulative and reckless and devious the DNC was, where they were propping up Trump. The DNC strategy, from WikiLeaks, we learned that their strategy was to undermine the Republican candidates by propping up Donald Trump. This memo was intended to outline the strategy and goals a potential Hillary Clinton presidential campaign would have regarding the 2016 Republican presidential field. Clearly, most of what is contained in this memo is work the DNC is already doing. This exercise is intended to put those ideas to paper. Our hope is that the goal of a potential Hillary Rodham Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee would be one and the same. And if you look, they talk about operationalizing the strategy, what they call the Pied Piper candidates. And Donald Trump is right there. And they say, we need to be elevating the Pied Piper candidates so that they are leaders of the pack. and tell the press to take them seriously. It says, tell the press to them seriously. I'm pretty sure it meant to say, tell the press to take them seriously. And if you look back at what they did with Trump, he went from 1% and the media gave him massive, disproportionate coverage. They advertised Donald Trump. I'll put links to prove that in the video description. Revealing those emails wouldn't have been a problem if the DNC and the Hillary campaign weren't scheming, dirty politicians. And the ironic thing is they schemed to elevate Trump. So in reality, Trump is blowback of their scheme to try to win the White House, trying to manipulate our system by trying to boost Trump above the other Republicans. And in one of the emails, it's revealed that they said, hey, let's push the media to take Trump and these other so-called Pied Piper candidates seriously. And if you look, the media took those marching orders and did exactly that, with Trump specifically being given billions of dollars worth of free media exposure, free advertising. Look at the impact of that media manipulation. Trump was only polling just at 1% compared to other Republican candidates, and the media pumped him up more than any other political candidate, including Democrats. I'll put links to all these articles in the video description, including this one. Here's proof that the media helped create Donald Trump. According to a study, major news outlets including CBS, Fox News, the Los Angeles Times, NBC, USA Today, and the New York Times covered Donald Trump's campaign in a way that was unusual given his initial polling numbers. That is to say, the Republican candidate got a high volume of coverage even before his polling numbers justified it. And not only that, but a majority of the coverage was positive in tone. They talk about the invisible primary, where of all the indicators of success in the invisible primary, media exposure is arguably the most important. And the article says he was lifted to the height he was lifted by an unprecedented amount of free media.
When he speaks, he's given something no other candidate gets. That's wall-to-wall coverage here on cable news. He sucks up all the oxygen.
They advertised Trump above and beyond any other candidate that was running. So you want to talk about integrity of the election or manipulating the American people? No one did that more than the American media. The scheme was build them up and then knock them down so that Hillary could win. And that's one of the things revealed in these emails, that the DNC schemed to build up the more extreme candidates like Donald Trump, and then in the general election they could argue, well, you can't vote for him, he's too extreme. You have to vote for Hillary. You can read it for yourself. By propping up candidates like Trump, their scheme was to force all Republican candidates to lock themselves into extreme conservative positions that will hurt them in a general election. So this was a devious plot which backfired. It's called blowback.